mysteries of creation are there. In the sky. Up in the sky. The moon and the planets are there. And new hopes for knowledge and peace are there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Inner Journey Weather Report, week of February 21st to February 27th. And this week we are going to be exploring, as we explore every week, the astrological alignments which reflect the energies in the collective and how they can support our transformation via our inward focus on ourselves and our transformative process. And we can thus transform the energies in the collective via transforming ourselves and taking the energies in and using ourselves as a catalyst to transform the energies in the collective in such a way that it's supportive for the world at large. And so this week, let's look at what we have going on in the sky. And here we are in Archetypal Explorer looking at this week. We have Mars trine Pluto is peaking on Thursday, and that is a great energy. Mars, the energy of activation, the energy of force, activation, activity. Mars in the ancient Greco-Roman mythology was the god of war, and the archetype, the astrological archetype of Mars, is associated with bravery, assertiveness. When it feels frustrated, it can show up as argumentativeness and conflict. When it's empowered and embraced and owned and kind of integrated, digested into ourselves, it shows up as bravery. It shows up as agency, assertiveness, direction, energy, get up and go, pep and step. And when it's in a trine to Pluto, the trine is a harmonious angle, and Pluto is the archetype of power and transformation, depth, the deep, the hidden, the profound, the transformative. And so those energies are good for brave diving into deep experiences. So if you're engaging in a new course of some type of spiritual process, hypnotherapy, vision quest, ayahuasca, diving into your dreams, somehow bravely diving into some type of fires of transformation, then the energy is on your side here. This is a collective. This is called a world transit. So it's energy in the collective. And it's great. Mars trine Pluto, harmonious angle, again, trine. This software is Archetypal Explorer, archetypalexplorer.com. When you click on it, you get a description here. Mars trine Pluto, transit qualities, powerful will, capacity to mobilize one's assertive energy. Challenging sides could be intense clashes of wills, anger, over readiness to fight. Though in a trine, it's not going to be as difficult to wrangle from the challenging side to the positive side. So it's more like a supportive energy that supports our bravery. It supports our inner transformation, activation of Kundalini energy, as it says here, extreme courage and action. So this is the transit that's peaking this week. I want to take a moment to discuss this transit right here, which is a bigger transit. Outer planet transits are bigger transits. And this is going to be with us all year. As you can see, the Mars trine Pluto is really just about a week long. This Saturn square Uranus, because it's an outer planet transit, is with us all year. And it's very tight alignment right now at this point in the year. This is a breakdown of the qualities, although summarized in saying Saturn Uranus is something that we're going to keep returning to this year to understand, because it's a really important archetypal combination that has its challenges. But when we understand it, those challenges, which can feel quite challenging, actually are so productive, so liberating, so important for our growth. And so Uranus, the archetype of liberation itself, and Saturn, the archetype of discipline and containment. So that therein lies the tension. The square angle alignment between them is also tense, but the archetypes themselves have some tension, because Uranus is associated with freedom and Saturn is associated with containment, responsibilities. Uranus is associated with the spontaneous, the exciting, the free. Saturn is associated with the predictable, the certain, the contained, the disciplined, the responsible. So to show you a couple examples of how this can show up in either challenging ways or productive ways, I had one interaction on social media in which I saw someone on social media had written, "Discipline is freedom." And this was something they were celebrating because they were coming to this kind of experience in their lives, that discipline is freedom. And this is very emblematic of the Saturn square Uranus energy that's happening right now, integrating into ourselves a sense of discipline is freedom. Discipline, Saturn, certainty, regularity, responsibility. That's a Saturnian thing, discipline, and freedom, the Uranus component. So it's a kind of a maturity, a perseverance, a kind of a regularity to discipline, and then comes the freedom, Uranus. So that's a wonderful way it shows up. Challenging way it can show up, it just came up in the news this week of Kanye West and Kim Kardashian experiencing a divorce, basically beginning divorce proceedings. So that's one of the ways it can show up in the sense that the freedom, Uranus, comes at a Saturnian cost. Saturn, as well as being associated with boundaries and containment, is also associated with separations, because that's also a boundary of time and space. So the freedom that comes from separation, it's not necessarily a freedom that we always want, but it can happen. It can be a disruptive freedom. So challenging, that's a challenging, a kind of a way that it can show up in its tension of those archetypes. So we want to, one of the focuses of focusing on inner journeys is really just to focus on these energies in the collective and in ourselves, or the energies of the universe. And we want to know that we have some locus of ability to steer these energies in a positive way, in the sense of being with our experience, just being with ourselves in the present moment, and attending to the energies that come up in the present moment, even if there's tension, there's conflict there. And the tense angles, as reflected in the planetary alignments, they tend to behave more. They tend to show up in a way that's more conducive to growth and life enhancing quality, when we are with ourselves in the present moment in a meditative way, almost like mindfulness meditation, even if we're feeling tensions therein. So that's really the emphasis on that's really the kind of the purpose and all this emphasis on inner journeys in this particular segment here, in this particular weekly segment. Another way that the Saturn Uranus can show up in a positive way is, I had another interaction on social media in which a friend on social media was engaging in over 50 days of regular yoga practice, in which she came to her yoga mat and she engaged in yoga practice every day for 50 days. And I believe she had not much experience with yoga before that, but she made and dedicated herself to the consistency of the practice. And there was something very liberating and energy that I noticed, a kind of an excitement, a liberation, a Uranian energy of newness, and newness that came from the discipline, a newness, a discovering something new by instituting a Saturnian regularity. I'm going to do this every day. It's some type of, it's like a dedication. Basically, it's kind of like a statement and a dedication that I will do this every day. That's very Saturnian. It's carved in stone. This is my backbone. This is my certainty. And then from that, we get the fruits of Uranus, which is the excitement, the newness, the freedom. Even physically, the structures of our body. Saturn is associated with the bones and the ligaments and the structure of the body. And when we engage in a yoga practice, we get freedom of movement there, freedom of mobility. So again, Saturn structure, Uranus freedom. So I wanted to focus on those for this week. Archetypal Explorer is a great program. I want to show you that you can actually use Archetypal Explorer to explore how these transits will land in your specific life. Because the way I've been talking about them so far has been referring to the collective. These are energies in the collective. That's why we're talking in terms of other people. But if we want to look at it in terms of your life, then what we do, you can, I'm providing the link for Archetypal Explorer below. You can get a free trial and you can type in your birth information and you can look at where these transits land in your birth chart. And that is so informative. I use it all the time. I use it all the time in planning how I pace out my work and my events. And I'm so grateful. I don't know actually what I would do otherwise. I've been practicing astrology professionally actually for over a decade. It's hard for me to go back and remember what I was doing before that, because I use this. I find so much helpful guidance in looking at my transits in this way. It's almost like Google Maps or something. It's hard for me to imagine going back to using paper maps. So this is my birth chart here. So I can see, for instance, that I have Mars square Venus on Tuesday. It goes exact, and then I get to read about it here. I get to read about the transit qualities, fruitful, rewarding qualities, challenging qualities, impulse to socialize, energetic, artistic, musical, social, romantic, and erotic experiences. That's classic Mars square Venus. And that's what's going on for me. And that's very descriptive, and it's very personalized looking at it in this way. So thank you so much for being with me here today, this week, in your inner journey weather report. And if you have any questions, type them in the comments. I'll see if I can address them next week. Until then, have a wonderful week. Enjoy Mars trine Pluto. Enjoy Saturn square Uranus. And I'll see you next week. Bye now.